Come in if you want to. Don't get back.
Come in, we want you, Jim.
Come in. There's a few more cats coming in. Come in.
Welcome. How's things? So we're going to try and ask you to tweet us your questions because we've got to be wrapped up in about 45 minutes, guys. So if any of you are on Wi-Fi there, you can tweet questions at us. We have a hashtag here, hashtag Klingon for Hope. Gary, could you actually just walk around, just hold it up for folks just to get the hashtag right?
So Klingon number 4, Hope.
So tweet that away to us, any questions you might have, and
we do have the spot prizes, of course, as well.
We'll have spot prizes to give away for the questions we like. So obviously there's been a bit of news in the last couple of days, folks, which sort of threw a spanner in the works for all of us. So this was our original itinerary for the day. We were going to go through basic intros, what we have right now. Then at 1:03, we were going to do a general talk about the Star Trek reboots, just the JJ stuff, Discovery in general. We were going to exhaust that topic, and then at 1:04, we were going to discuss where is P really stored. Going to go into the legalities then at 1:20 of CBS, Paramount, Viacom. Then go into some of Ronan's questionable dietary habits, and we are sorry to lose the question about Ronan, but also because we were worried about what he would do, we figured just maybe buy him a gift as well. I am sorry to lose the next one. This is Space Mushrooms and the Jason Isaacs Guide to Public Relations. So we had to jettison that, I'm afraid. Just about the news that we've had in the last couple of days. Hi, how's things, guys? Come on in. Next, of course, is the real heartbreaker. Our own Shane was going to debut his interpretive dance. Yeah, he's obviously been hurt in the line of duty. So I'm really sorry, man. I mean, it's okay.
I'm more hurt about it than anybody else.
It's better for your health, I think, to be honest. So we had to get rid of that. Sorry. And then finally, we're just going to give Ronan his bottle of red before he turned. But we got rid of all of that, none of that, because apparently I think there's only one topic that we are all looking to go for. Picard!
Yes.
We have our first tweet. Thanks, Rob. Rob, we're going to just give you a spot prize there just to get the ball rolling. Would you like a Klingon figure?
Klingon sounds great, yeah. Thanks very much.
Worf from First Contact.
Let's give it up for Rob. Alright, so we will
It's a nice wee gift to get signed as well.
Yeah.
Did you actually tweet the question there?
No, I'm going to give it to you there now.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So Rob said, "Hi Ronan, you're brilliant." No, he didn't. He said, "There's more to say with Picard has all been said. The next gen movies really didn't expand on his character in any meaningful way. Is there more to be said about Picard?"
Well, if we can address that a wee bit later, because I do think, as all joking aside, we will just touch on all the other things happening in the track right now initially, and then just go for balls to the wall with Picard towards the end, if that's all right.
Family friendly.
So in terms of what's happening right now, guys, just to briefly touch on how we all feel about the current state of affairs. I'm going to ask Ronan not to be as diplomatic this time, because when we did a video talking about our thoughts on Discovery, Ronan was so diplomatic, he sounded like he was in therapy.
I have certain expectations for a Star Trek show, and Discovery is challenging those.
He started every sentence with "I feel." It was just "I feel Discovery isn't the show it was represented to be, and maybe it's not made for me as a fan." So I'm hoping we get a bit more passion from him this time. Ronan,
When am I getting that red, Kieran? Are you going to give me that red first?
After.
Yeah.
That's a reward. That's a reward. So in terms of what we have right now, Discovery and the Kelvin universe, where are you at? What's your opinion on them?
I have to try to be diplomatic here, yeah?
No.
No, don't be honest. Look, it's not for me, okay? It was Next Generation that got me really into Star Trek, I have to say. And I'm so happy that we've gone back to Star Trek. They've brought out a new series in Discovery. The movies, I looked at those, the latest movies, as more sci-fi movies. I didn't see them as Star Trek personally. With Discovery, there's a lot of...
I feel.
There's a lot of great things about Discovery, but it's only one season in, so you're putting me on the spot here, Kieran. So I am being diplomatic. So there's plenty of things that can work out. Look at Next Gen after one season. I know it's different. I know it's a remake. You know, there's some fantastic characters. You know, Doug Jones is just absolutely fantastic as Saru. You know,
That's because he's Doug Jones.
but you know,
It's yet to find its footing anyway.
yes, it really, personally, it hasn't found its footing yet.
And Gary, in terms of the alternatives that are out there, like the Orville, do you think it's fair that there's a bit of a civil war in Star Trek right now amongst the fandom?
I wouldn't have to call it a civil war, but like it's just more content for us that, especially for the Orville being out there, it's feeding the Star Trek drug to us without it being under the CBS banner. That's its issues.
It's almost like the only way we could legally get something like Star Trek. Because
without it being like a suppressed or banned fan version, like what was going on with Axanar and the glorious Star Trek Continues. Jesus, it's great.
Well, speaking to that, Shane, you and I were talking about this before. Just like the legalities with CBS and Viacom and Paramount. If there's anyone here who can make better sense of it than us, please let us know. But from what we do here is that a lot of the reasons we're getting reboots and rebrandings and the ships don't look the same, uniforms don't look the same, is legal reasons. Some things are tied up with Paramount and Viacom. Some things are tied up with CBS.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it. You get annoyed and go, "That's the wrong creative decision," but it's not. It's lawyers standing beside costume designers and writers going, "No, you can't do that," and it's really sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad. I was so excited about Discovery, and then it was very different to what I thought it would be. I'm not going to say much more on it.
Around 2015, maybe early 2016, there was that rumor that went out that it was going to be maybe an anthology, and maybe season 1 was going to be set between Undiscovered Country and Next Generation. And I am enough of a continuity whore that excited the hell out of me. I thought, oh great, we're going to get the burgundy uniforms back.
I was so excited. And Brian Fuller has come in since and said that was his original plan.
Right.
CBS said no.
Yeah.
It has to be a standalone series. They won't fund they wouldn't fund an anthology because they wanted to test it and see if it would work, and they had no way of testing an anthology. So
what
do it?
I would have thought Black Mirror would be the test for that.
Or Game of Thrones or any other TV show.
Well, American Horror Story would be the example I'd go for, because that's the kind of anthology we were talking about, whereas each season was a different story pretty much. And then
Different ship, different crew.
Exactly. Well, you could have season 1 between Undiscovered Country and Next Gen. You could have had season 2 after Nemesis. There was a lot that could have been done with that idea, but then we get the excuse thrown back at us. I'm not sure how much, because these are second-hand sources we get from in like Hollywood Reporter articles and stuff, where they say it's simply it's legalities. They go to do that time period of Pike or Kirk, and they can't make the uniforms look the way a lot of fans want them to look, which is in continuity, for legal reasons. Which then begs the question: then why are you setting it in that time era?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a remake then? Why can't you do it in a new time era that's never been covered?
Yeah, just do something new. That's
exactly.
what I've never understood. That's been my biggest gripe.
The reason TNG was able to get brand new ships, brand new uniforms, and not stepping on any toes is because it went 100 years later, guys. That was the freedom that it gave itself without stepping on any toes. It was the best of both worlds that way. No pun intended, I assure you. But if you were to do that, you know, including what we've heard in the last couple of days, that's how you avoid those issues. And you can, if you have the rights to the Delta logo and the name Star Trek, then you know just go in a time where you're not going to be stepping on any toes. And there
I
are.
know you didn't want to get to Picard yet in our conversation, but exactly, it's the excitement of something in the future that has really got me going again. So let's hope that works out.
Well, I hate to dampen your. I know. Me and Kieran had a conversation with this the other day, and Kieran, your theory of what could possibly be the future for Picard.
Yeah. Oh, what, the third nipple? Oh no, right. This is the other thing. Okay. Well, I just think it'll be more than likely a flashback series. Yeah, to be honest. I'd like to hold off on that till maybe a wee bit more, but I really don't think they'll be giving us anything, at least not what what a lot of us really, really want. But maybe I'm just a hardened cynic at this stage and completely have been batted around by CBS and Paramount so much that and I am a continuity whore, and I certainly don't speak for all fans. A lot of fans really love the idea of reboots and stuff like that. Have we got anything else on the Twitter there?
Yeah, we sure do. So a couple more spot prizes. So Sarah Morris, can you show yourself to us?
Hi Sarah.
Hey Sarah, would you like a small or a large Star Trek Éire t-shirt or a Klingon Worf character?
I have the large t-shirt, please.
Yeah? Super. You do the honours? Oh, cool. And Carlo,
Thanks, John.
is Carlo here? Yes, what would you like, Carlo?
I get the Klingon.
Yeah? Worf from First Contact again? Let's not throw that Gary.
No.
What are the questions there?
So, question from Sarah was, do you think Discovery would have benefited from a traditional full season, as in 22 episodes, or is 13, 14 episode a season just the way TV is gone? And from Carlo, it was, what if Picard's new show isn't, if it's just him living life after retirement?
Well, Shane, you talk about this a lot with the 22.
Yeah, so to the first question, no. To the second question, a Vineyard series would be great. No, I think it really was good to go into the future and do the modern TV format and have one story going over 13 episodes. I think that was a fantastic idea. They kind of did it in Deep Space Nine and it was amazing, but they did it over 26 episodes. But yeah, no, I think that was a really positive thing. I don't think it would have benefited from the 22 at all.
Yeah. It's one of the good things. About
Yeah, I think it was I think it was a very good idea, a good way to go to the future, and I think it's how Star Trek should be.
Well, no,
modern TV should be.
I think DS9 got it right. I think there's a way of doing arcs while still having something somewhat self-contained in the occasional episode. As much as I love the Orville, I do think it's a step backwards in format in terms of Planet of the Week sort of things. I think we're past that now. TV has just moved on. Well, it's not even TV anymore. It's internet really, to be honest. And no, I don't think it would have helped Discovery. One of the few strengths for me of Discovery was that format of having the freedom to limit yourself to how many episodes you want, really, you know?
Yeah, that's what I found. Like, the only way I was able to enjoy Discovery was binge watching it. I felt watching it week to week was just driving me nuts. Like, binge watching it 4 or 5 episodes in a go. I thought it works better. It's how TV is now. Like most shows thrown up on Netflix, they'll do the whole season of it. Say like the Marvel shows and stuff.
I meant more as like story development and character development, giving them time to kind of
Yeah,
flesh
yeah.
them all out a bit more.
What do you think that happens more when there's like a 22 episode run?
I just prefer the TV shows that I grew up with, say, it'd be
Sure.
like Stargate, for example, 10 seasons and 22 episodes.
Yeah.
Most TV shows that I love are 22 episode TV series.
Sure, yeah. Well, certainly there's examples like the CW superhero shows do, I think, a very good job of having an arc over the series while still having a lot of self-contained villain of the week stuff.
Yeah.
For me, though,
More variety.
that kind of shows the holes in it, though, because you can literally see how there was one strong idea for the season and they stretched it and then just started filling it in with other stuff just to make up for it. There is a place for it, I think, but in the case of Discovery, I think one of its few strengths was it was more, it could have been more focused. That kind of TV can be more focused. In the end, I think there was a bit of panic in the writing room based on reactions to the show, and it changed a couple of times throughout the.
But with Claire's point about the longer season, I'm harping back to Next Generation here again, but there's some magical episodes that may not have occurred if it was only a 13 or 14 episodes a season. So
Some of the greatest Star Trek episodes, in my opinion, are standalone ones.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
love the
Yeah.
arcs, but the standalone ones, I think I missed that.
Lower
Sure,
Decks would be a
absolutely.
great example of that.
And I think especially with Discovery and what you're going to do with having only 15 episodes, they developed no characters except for 3 of them, basically. Like all the background characters, you didn't know their name, you didn't know their rank or their position on the ship.
Absolutely.
And if you did get their name, it was you knew very little about the characters, and there wasn't a crew feeling from it at all. That was what I felt.
Yeah, you know what? You're kind of winning us over here. Because I'm even saying, like, DS9 is my favourite of the shows, and I would say that throughout, like, DS9, one of its strengths was the arcs and stuff like that. And yet, as I'm sitting here, I'm listing off my favourite episodes in my head, like Bar Association, Blood Oath, Standalone. So you definitely have a point there.
Sorry, Rob.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know if this is like an open forum. Just
That's
a
okay.
point to make on that. I thought it was kind of cool in Discovery how, yeah, most of the season was one long story, but there was like one or two kind of completely standalone episodes. There was a Harry Mudd time travel episode,
right, yeah.
and then I think there was the one where they were on the blue planet. That wasn't great, but the time travel one was great. And I think if they're continuing to go with the 15 episode model, maybe they could put 13 episodes or even 12 episodes aside for the ongoing story, and then just have 3 that are just completely standalone, and then you have that kind of, as you say, there's magical episodes where they're just a lot more laid back and they're able to just breathe and spend more time with the crew, and that way you kind of have the best of both worlds. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it is the strength of TV in general that you're able to just take a breather and sit and characters can contemplate their own universes. I mean, and I agree with you, by the way, Rob, about the treatment of Picard in the movies, because one of my main issues with First Contact is that they'd already dealt with how Picard was affected by the Borg in a great episode called Family, right after Best of Both Worlds, and that is the strength of episodic television. And that is the strength of, and you know that's both part of an arc, but also it is because there's a B story as well. I think with Worf's family aboard the ship. I think a lot of us forget about that because it's just so strong, the material with Picard, because that is literally a rape metaphor. Picard admitting that he was violated, and he admits it to the most masculine presence in his life, which is his hypercritical, disapproving brother, who he doesn't get along with, and his brother coaxes it out of him. And it's incredibly powerful stuff, and way better than him just smashing a glass case with a couple of spaceships, toy spaceships in it, in my opinion. Yeah.
I'm going to tear up after you saying that.
No, fantastic points, guys. Thanks very much. So, in terms of the legalities, there we have it's a company called National Amusements, who own Viacom, and it's really confusing. I read one article that says they're looking to get rid of the board members of CBS because they're the controlling board members. The red wine's new. One article says that they're trying to get, because they're the controlling shareholders in CBS, and that they're trying to get rid of the board members of CBS so they can do the merger, which would bring everything in Star Trek back under one umbrella again, which would take away all those restrictions. And then another article says they're trying to make the merger so they can get rid of the board members. So it's like, it really, I don't think we'll ever know until it's done, and there's a documentary made about it by William Shatner. Inevitably 115 years old or something.
I like that too.
We have another tweet there. Rory. Here, yeah. Rory said, if a new alert had to be used, what colour would it be and what would it stand for? Would you like a signed picture? Yeah. We have a selection here. You want to pick one?
Who have we got? We got Terry Farrell.
We had Terry. We had Terry over last year, and we brought Rennie over this year. So we have one for each of those.
And we have Tim Russ as well.
Yes, we have Tim Russ that Paul had just brought hot from Vegas. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers, Rory.
And sorry to skirt over some of the questions about Picard, guys, because we're just kind of holding off, and we're just going to let this in a couple of minutes. So what was Rory's question, everyone?
So, if a new alert had to be used,
Oh, sorry.
what colour would it be and what would it stand for?
Pink for Pride. Pride alert. Someone's going to throw beads at you or something. Yes?
Yeah, I was delighted to hear that you say that you like the S9. It was one of my favourite ones as well, and it doesn't get an awful lot of good press.
Neil Stringer?
Yeah.
Hey Neil, what would you like, Neil? Would you like Renee or Terry or a t-shirt or Worf?
I'll take
Yes.
5, 4,
5, 4, 3, 2. Worf, there you go, sir. Thank you. And Endgame podcasts. Ready there? Yes. What would you like, buddy? Have a t-shirt. What size would you like?
We've got smaller, XXL.
Yes.
XXL!
What's your name?
Jeff.
Jeff. Cheers, Jeff.
Thank you. Good man.
Do you
What
have
were
to
the
be on
questions?
Twitter for that, sorry? Do you have to be on Twitter?
For the first person who's not on Twitter who asks, do you have to be on Twitter? No, you don't. Would you like Renee or Terry or a small Star Trek Éire t-shirt? Yeah, cool.
What's his t-shirt?
What's your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Well done, Jennifer.
Thanks for being on.
Questions that came in, yes. So, Jeff was, what is your critique of the JJ movies? I heard he actually was not a hardcore Trek fan, Did he do it justice in your opinion? What are your biggest complaints about Discovery? And Neil asks, what do you think about what you're doing with Pike and the Enterprise? Rewatch is helping me appreciate Discovery. So, Neil?
Gary, your appraisal of the JJ movies.
Oh, the flying hairdryer? No, that just... I think Abrams did what he does with any franchise he jumps into. He takes everyone else's previous ideas and then just puts a new gloss on it.
Sure.
He doesn't seem to get the depth of what's going on. And he's admitted that as well. He's on like the Jamie show.
He said it was
for-
too philosophical.
It was too philosophical for him, he didn't get it, and Jon Stewart's response was brilliant. It was like, I saw your lips moving, but I just assumed you were apologising. Or something like that.
I do find that the best of the three movies was the one he didn't direct.
Oh yeah, Beyond was more entertaining, a bit more of
Star Trek.
Star Trek to it, which was a shame because it was the one that performed the least in the box
Absolutely,
office.
yeah. And it's looking the fourth one's in question now because there's disagreements over contracts for the two Chris's.
Yes.
Shane, as to the question on what was... Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll ask you. Biggest complaint about Discovery?
I'm getting into some flows. Everyone going to hear a big sigh when I say this.
And we'll try and think of a comment, a positive afterwards.
Yeah, but I just thought it was really dumb. I just, like, from the get-go, the opening scene was a captain explaining to her first officer the mission they're already on, which she seemed to be a clueless cadet.
You do need exposition.
While they were breaking...
I'll be devil's advocate and say you need exposition. You need...
Yeah, but
you use
magic
magic
well.
It's why Robin was invented, so Batman or something.
And their mission was specifically to break the Prime Directive, all within the first 2 minutes of the series, so I just kind of...
Also, we need to prevent war by attacking them. That's a bad idea. Mutiny! So we're going to roll on with our two videos here. We'll play them one after the other. The first is from JP at Egotastic Funtime, who has a show on his channel called Talking Orville. His channel's really taken off since the Orville took off because he loves it, and it just seems he's cutting an incredible following as a result of it. I would really recommend this channel, folks, Egotastic Funtime. If anything, for his end credits on episodes, which are the funniest thing ever, where he just sings about how he wants your money.
Kapla Dublin, I'm JP from Talking the Orville on Egotastic Funtime. Some of you might know I'm a lifelong Trekkie and sci-fi fan. Growing up, Star Trek was my first love. The idea that people from different parts of our planet and galaxy can work together to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life, new civilizations, and boldly go where no one has gone before has always been a mission statement that has really spoken to me and given me hope for a brighter future. But the great thing about Trek is that it's not just a brand, it's an idea, a belief that we can all be better by working together, that our future doesn't have to be doom and gloom, that perhaps by making the new Klingons look like poop monsters, it's just a clever way of... No, absorb the aggression, JP. Absorb the aggression. With the Kelvin timeline and the last two series all being prequels, I wasn't sure if Star Trek would ever move forward in its own timeline ever again. But Star Trek isn't limited to something people can experience just through a screen. We can take it with us wherever we go, talk about it, wear our love for it literally on our chests or our ears. Yeah, I see you cosplayers out there. Hey Seamus, who let you in here, man? As I'm sure we all now know with Sir Patrick Stewart's recent announcement that the future of Star Trek seems to rest in the hands of an old friend. If anyone can steady our course toward a better future, it's surely Jean-Luc Picard, and I can't wait to see where he's taking us. It's important for all of us to remember, as long as there's a space vessel exploring the infinite vastness of the final frontier with a crew dedicated to discovering what's just beyond that rim of starlight while wandering in Starflight, our journey will end never, you guys. Our Star Trek will go on forever. Live long, prosper, and don't get any girls pregnant. Beat me up, JJ. Whoa! All right! Egotastic Funtime.
We have Richard Jackson from Val Verde Broadcasting. Richard Jackson and Duncan Casey from Val Verde, they've worked with Oliver Harper for a number of years on his channel. They've since parted ways with him under fairly mysterious circumstances, and they've set up their own channel, Val Verde. Richard is a massive Trekkie. I recommend checking out some of his commentaries with Oliver Harper on the Star Trek movies.
Excellent. Hello everyone, I'm Richard Jackson from Val Verde Broadcasting on YouTube, which is a channel where two grown men sit in my living room and say too much. I've been asked to speak to you today about where I would take the Star Trek franchise. Now, this had a spanner thrown in the works actually, because I would like to say that I wanted a series set after Voyager that would take us forward in the Star Trek continuity. And after I was asked, the Captain Picard series was announced, which kind of buggered my plans really. I would still go after Voyager, that's kind of my thing. I've also read today that Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth have dropped out of negotiations for the new Bad Robot Star Trek film. And obviously we have this Tarantino situation going on, but let's put that aside for one moment. We have Captain Picard, which is going to be co-created by Alex Kurtzman, which I find quite interesting because he not only was involved in the Bad Robot films and Discovery, of course, but the Star Trek Countdown comic, you may remember, which featured Captain Picard in a sort of slightly dreary, unsatisfying way for my tastes. So I wouldn't do that at all. I would leave that whole thing alone. My idea is that you should just do, and I'll leave it to you to come up with the title. My pitch for the new Star Trek series is Star Trek The Next Generation. So there's nothing wrong, I say, in just going 70, 80 years ahead and seeing what the Federation is doing kind of a generation after Voyager. It worked spectacularly once before, there's no reason it can't work again. Let's have a completely new crew, new ship, new kind of issues to tackle, new parts of the galaxy to take on, new species. Let's just kind of skip forward. And if you wanted to, you can have like a, you know, ancient Kate Mulgrew wheeled out like they did with Bones in the start of TNG. You can bring back old characters. You could have Ben Sisko come out of the wormhole. But I think a lot of us, and I won't speak for everybody, I think a lot of us are quite sick of prequels and kind of reboots. It seems like Star Trek hasn't really wanted to, it hasn't had the confidence to move forward for quite some time. And they always just want to give us Spock and Kirk again, which there's nothing wrong with those guys, but we need to sort of move forward. Which I think was the idea behind the Star Trek animated series that never came to fruition. But I want that. I want more. I want the double future. I want the next generation. Before I run out of time, because I've only got 40 seconds left, my other pitch is a Picard show, and it's called Earl Grey Tea Hot for Two. And it's like comedians getting coffee in cars or whatever with Jerry Seinfeld, except Captain Picard sits in his flat on Romulus as an ambassador, and every week an old character comes and talks to him for an hour. So maybe Worf just comes around and they talk about, you know, targs and stuff like that, or you know, a Beta Z could come around and they can do some emotional stuff. Reggie Barclay could come around for an hour and just annoy everybody and make them hate the show. Yeah, that's my second pitch. So that's only my 3 minutes up. It's been rambly and weird, and I'm going to beam back out. Thank you very much. Peace.
Yeah, so they open it up there, as Richard said. The news has come out, guys, that Picard's coming back. And yeah, did you hear? It's unbelievable. I've really mixed feelings about this. I'm frightened, guys, to be honest. I think we'll start off with what Rob said. Do you think it's necessary, guys?
Yes!
Yes.
I just, you know, hoping that they get it right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just so excited. You know, yes, they could screw it up. But that's.
Yeah, but he's in. Yeah, I was there, so I
Oh yes, yeah.
So
sorry,
I heard,
Paula was just hot off the press back from Las Vegas, and she saw.
So I was
Patrick
actually
Stewart.
there when Patrick Stewart came out, but what he said was, there's no scripts as of yet, but
Yes.
he's working closely with Kurtzman. And given the current political climate at the moment, that's why he agreed to come back to do the show.
Sure, okay.
Oh, sugar.
Just so everyone can hear it.
So given the current political climate that's in America, that's why he, and I suppose with Brexit, that's why he came back to do the show. So it's kind of, what he was alluding to is basically it's going to be kind of like Picard may or may not still be part of the Federation.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things that are kind of going wrong underneath the surface of the Federation. You know, their objectives have changed and they're not as kind of altruistic as they used to be. So it's kind of going to go down that road, and kind of maybe Picard is like a rogue, you know.
Like the Maquis.
Ish. So like he's going to be working closely with Kurtzman when it comes to the scripts and stuff. So he said that's the only reason why he came back. But I have to say, like, the reaction in the audience was amazing. Like he was crying on stage. I was ugly crying. People next to me were ugly crying. So people are excited. And just another thing, Glenn Hetrich and Neville Page were talking about that. I know a lot of people, including me, didn't like the Klingon makeup in Discovery, and I think his answer was kind of backpedaling a little bit, but I think in season 2 and possibly season 3 you're going to see more of the Klingons that we're used to.
Hairy Klingons from
so his idea was that the Klingon Empire was made up of loads of different planets. This was the excuse anyway he was giving people, that was made up of loads of different planets, and you're going to see different ethnicities of Klingons. So that was basically his excuse.
They had said that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we only ever saw the one type.
There were a few different houses in the first episode of the hologram thing. There were human-looking ones as well, weren't there?
Yeah. No, they all
pretty much the same. They all had that same kind of makeup.
Some of them like had a headdress, but you know, it would be nice if they, in amongst those Klingons, they had a smooth-headed Klingon, just the type of Enterprise. Because
hopefully that's what they do.
Because
they like bringing it in, having the next generation era style Klingons, the ones we've come to know over the past 30 years.
But
and then just like, and have the other ones in, they probably end up, don't, because of the legal issues, throw in the JJ types.
Well, my main thing would be, are there going to be legal issues with the Picard show? In terms of their excuse for changing things so far being legal issues, will they change things with the Picard show? Or have they finally put themselves in a place where they can't deviate from continuity because they're doing a straight sequel with the same actor? Which I guess could be argued was the case with Leonard Nimoy in the 2009 reboot. What kind of show do you want it to be, fellas? Shane?
A good show. No, I want it to be well written, and I hope Patrick Stewart himself is like that. He is involved in some way in the writing, and that he will be the person who will stand there and say, "No, I'm not doing that. People will hate that," and that he just steers them in a better direction than where they've gone lately. I am very positive about it. I'm a very optimistic person, and I love Picard. So I hope that it is good, but I hadn't heard that side of it, that what you'd explain there of that he's going to might be an outsider to the new Federation, how it is. I do like the idea that we're finally going into the future. We're going, whatever it is, 30 years into the future now, which is really exciting. And that way
kind of what Star Trek's about.
Yeah, and they can play with continuity a little bit around that as well, in terms of they're not going to be messing up anything because it'll be all new. And uniforms can look different, ships can look different. It's not going to matter. Nobody's going to be annoyed about it.
Well, if they redesign aliens radically, it'll still look new. I mean, for years we had a gap in continuity with the Klingons.
Yeah.
But then it was like, and again, continuity horror. I love the way they explained it in Enterprise. I thought that was just brilliant. It scratched an itch for me. It was really fun. That's why I was even more annoyed at the redesign. I just thought it did a really clever thing that Enterprise did. But I think to roll in what Paula said about Patrick Stewart being involved creatively and what Rob said about how the movies really started to screw it up and how maybe, that it could be screwed up further, the whole legacy of the Picard. The last time Stewart was heavily involved with redirection was on First Contact, where Riker was supposed to be doing the die-hard business on the ship, Picard was supposed to be down on the planet, and Stewart says, "I want to be an action hero." Yeah. And they flipped characters, and Picard was suddenly completely out of character. Someone who is so rigid with his morals and his stance and things and his humanity. It all went out the window because he wanted revenge, which just was not very Picard, I felt personally. So that would worry me, actually, because has he written anything major? Is anyone familiar with any creative content that he's put out there at all? Or?
Not the way like Andrew Robinson wrote the Stitch in Time book for Garrick, or I think Chandler's written a couple of Star Trek books.
Delancey wrote IQ. Yeah. Sorry?
Chandler's written several novels.
That's right, he has, yeah. So, well, we just don't know what kind of level of involvement Stewart would have there. What kind of show would you want, Gary?
Me, the one that was mentioned in the first video where he's just sitting down. It's kind of like the Talking Dead and stuff like that. It's like after the after show chat with Patrick Stewart. That'd be kind of fun, where he's just, like you mentioned, You're just having to sit down, Earl Grey, and he's he's the Mad Admiral in the nursing home, and he just thinks he's on a hologram show.
Ronan?
Show would be fun.
I'm really excited about it, but I'm worried too. You know, like I tweeted that I'd be happy with 10 hours of Picard just tending to his vineyard.
Yeah,
absolutely. It can't go wrong. No. But
I like Gary's hologram.
Yes, no, it does sound great. But I'm happy that I'm not making the series. I don't think I'm well enough equipped to make it. I'm curious as to what they come up with, how they make it viable.
How they justify it as well.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what I would want was just a continuation. Really, I'd like to see if they wanted to do something that roped in, put Picard at the center of some sort of like galactic story or something like that. That we get to see Riker on the Titan. Maybe we get to see, what the likes of Tom Paris is at now. Things like that. Let's find out. Did Cisco ever come back from that void he went into and things like this?
Did before recover into data?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh
God, that was weak.
I'm so excited that this could possibly happen.
Yeah, it's exciting that Nemesis is no longer the end of that story.
Yeah.
Rob, sorry.
My hesitancy is CBS are thinking of this in terms of a brand to be exploited, and I really like Discovery, but they're thinking of this in terms of a brand to be exploited, and that to me says they're going to rehash a lot of stuff that has been concluded like definitively, and one of those things is the Borg. You can set your watch to it that the Borg is going to be back, and people aren't probably going to like what they do with them, and that's the kind of thing I'm hesitant about. They're going to want to bring out all the old tropes and catchphrases and things, and maybe they're going to, like the movies did to a certain extent, they're going to rehash character arcs that we've already seen that we maybe don't need to see and don't need to be revisited.
But then as with Force Awakens, some people will be angry about that and other people will love it.
There is an Inner Light sequel comic.
Yeah.
That it might be. It's a bit scary that they could ruin something.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Please leave the Borg out of.
Yeah.
We're done. We're finished with the series.
I mean, one of the things I've been worried about is when they released the trailer for Discovery, they're asking if the Borg will go be there because they saw an image there that could be the Borg. I'm saying the Borg should not even be in Kirk's time period. It works in Enterprise because it ties in with First Contact. And it ties in with Q and all, but
I still think they shouldn't have done it in Enterprise, but at least they found a clever way of doing it.
It worked better than the Ferengi episode in Enterprise.
Yes, agreed. Totally. Yes.
I'm just thinking the whole of listening about the studios taking an old project and trying to make it new. It could go really well, like how MGM was able to pull Stargate out of nowhere, and then you had Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. You had 3 really successful programs coming out of a movie that they had done 3 years previously that was never going to see the light of day again. So it could go a good way that you might get a fresh start and a fresh group of people involved in the Star Trek industry. Sure. Like if you were to have a new crew that was in the future, that new people who are like teenagers, young kids now, they grow up with them. So it's like my dad would have Spock and Kirk and that group. And to a degree, I have the Next Generation, and by the sounds of it, you have the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. But my generation doesn't really have its own Star Trek. We're looking at previous ones. So if they were to bring somebody who had a new crew, okay, Discovery kind of works, but it's not the same that our generation needs our own Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's plenty of people I've met over the last while who've only got into Star Trek recently because of the Abrams movies and particularly because of Discovery.
Yeah.
And thankfully now it's on Netflix, they're able to go, oh, there's this whole big franchise that has this, negative connotation from back in the day. And they're watching it and going, this is fantastic. There's, weeks of footage to go, or episodes to go through. It's fantastic. I guess that's making fans out of it, but they want to have the new content as well, like you were saying.
And hopefully that's what Patrick Stewart's going to bring.
Yeah.
He's going to
hopefully
he's going to set up.
I suppose the question is, do you trust Kurtzman?
No.
No. It's Akiva Goldsman, I think, is my.
He's the one
well,
who did
he's
Goldsman, I don't know how he gets near things after all the damage he's done.
I don't
He's
know
working
if
on a
Batman
DC
Robin.
show,
Yeah.
And now he's working on a DC
next
show.
gen fan. So
That's a positive thing.
you know, and if
But
he has more control this time, I'm not being really positive here. But if he has more control this time, then maybe.
Yeah, maybe it hasn't been
Yeah,
involved.
I suppose-
Yeah.
it was just the first season, so every first season.
At least there's no Damon Lindelof or Roberto Orsi, because apparently, what a friend online said, out of the three of those, out of Team Abrams, he feels that Alex Kurtzman's the least dangerous out of Damon Lindelof and Roberto Orsi, so maybe Alex Kurtzman. But then I'm not
And he's
consistent.
the Tranky in 3 of them, isn't
Is it Orsi? But apparently he's.
he? Yeah, Kurtzman.
Well, guys, we've got about 3 minutes to go here. I'm going to ask if anyone, if it's good enough, maybe you can take your pick up an autograph here between, I think, Aubert Gemois and Terry Farrell. If anyone's got a pitch for their Picard show that is enough to excite everyone in this room and make them cheer.
And they have 20 seconds.
20-second pitch. Is anyone with the ball? You, sir?
Picard travelling through time to fix out the continuity problems.
Like a Terry, a Rene, or a small T-shirt.
I say.
Terry?
Terry. Who's next?
And then we do have another fellow volunteer.
The fallout in the Beta Quadrant after Romulus is destroyed by the supernova.
I'm for that, sure, absolutely. You guys yourself on that? Yes, sir.
I think what we'd actually need if we just had Picard and with his old characters coming in, but finding out where their lives have gone.
No, like
No,
with
sure.
the Ambassador of
Yeah,
War,
exactly. Where
Riker on the Titan stuff.
Yeah, so we know, and to finish it off better than Nemesis, because I just think Nemesis.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a bit of damage to be undone with Nemesis, I agree. Yeah, you get yourself an autograph, sir. Thank you.
And Paul Kilroy, is he?
Yeah.
Yes. Paul tweeted in there, so you can come on up here and grab it.
What was this question?
Right as well. Funny enough, it was if you had control of Star Trek legalities aside, where would you set a new series TV?
Well, I would actually say I would do an anthology series. One year it's set after Nemesis, the next year we're following the Enterprise B. I have no problem recasting characters, like recasting Castillo and Captain Garrett and stuff like that, as long as you at least follow the rules a wee bit and don't completely reinvent the thing. And something that explores, because there's a lot of little gaps. It's why we enjoyed the good stuff about First Contact. That was a little period in history when humans first met Vulcans that we all loved.
Yeah,
it was like we all wanted
their
past
in our future.
As much as I'm a wee bit fed up with prequels and stuff like that, I still like seeing the unexplored stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, guys, thanks very much for coming. Some fantastic questions there. We really didn't think we'd get this kind of crowd of pictures and panels from Michael Dorn today, so thank you so much, all of you. Really appreciate it.
Let's all get a big Klingon roar and head on down to Michael Dorn. Oh yeah.
Gapla! Please check us out on Twitter.
Four of us doing
Yeah, that's one.
Are you saying there was something in Discovery that didn't make sense with the rest of Star Trek?
There was a concept.
I am shocked and appalled, sir.